friendship has been defined as the following. When you walk into a person's house and your Wi-Fi connects automatically, that is how you know the person is your true friend. All of us need human connection. Wi-Fi tells us our technology is connected, but tonight and this whole year is about human connection. Judaism, without question, affirms that people are better together rather than alone. Have you ever heard of a Jewish monastery? It doesn't exist. Have you ever heard of a Jewish silent retreat? That I can assure you does not exist. It is not our way. An amazing song by Barbra Streisand entitled People came out in the 1970s. I'd like to do a text study with you tonight and analyze the lyrics with you. So let us put the lyrics up here. It begins, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. I love that sentiment. That's a really amazing, wonderful sentiment. But I'm kind of a sermon geek. And what I mean by that is I try and collect sermons throughout the last century and read them and understand them. And I found this sermon by Rabbi Sidney Greenberg, famous rabbi from Philadelphia, I believe, in last century. And he said, the illusion that we are genuinely self-sufficient is one of our most tempting myths. It surfaced in the lyrics of People, a song that enjoyed much popularity in this 1970s period. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world, it said. The clear implication is that some people, the unlucky ones, do not need people. This is nonsense, he said. George Bernard Shaw dismissed such fuzzy thinking with crisp impatience. Independence? We are all dependent on one another. Every one of us on earth. All people need people. It's not so much a matter of luck. It's the human instinct to need people. In fact, at the High Holidays, we'll analyze a verse from the 2nd chapter of the book of Genesis in which it says, it is not good for the human being to be alone. We're not talking just about marriages here or romantic relationships. We're talking about human connection, one person to another. She goes on to sing, we're children needing other children, and yet letting a grown-up pride hide all the need inside, acting more like children than children. We suffer loneliness oftentimes because we're afraid to be vulnerable and reach out to somebody to help us with our loneliness. All you need not to be lonely is to be in communication with one other human being. You don't need a posse of friends. You just need one. It's why we talk about at Temple all the time, from the very simple smiling at somebody. Can you imagine if you're walking down the street and you smile at somebody, that might be the only smile they received the whole day long. Think about the way we speak to our children. Do we speak to them in a way that lets them know you're connected, or in a way that says, I'm right, you're wrong, do what I say, not what I do? Now, parenting's hard, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, but being thoughtful about how we approach these things are really important. Because the problem with the world in which we live today is there's way too many adults acting like children, particularly our leaders, across all spectrums. Politics is easy to pick on, but think about every other sector. When people act like adults, then they behave in ways that are more thoughtful, less instinctual. We need people who won't act like children, but will be connected. Lovers are very special people. They're the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul says, you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger and thirst, but first be a person who needs people. such a powerful message in what she is singing. It is not necessarily about the love the person is giving you. It's about you being open to the love. But first, be a person who needs people. I like to say a lot, both in my work as a therapist and certainly as a rabbi, like attracts like. That if you are an angry person, if you're a person who doesn't like people, guess what? People won't like you. And you'll only experience the world in an angry way. But if you're open to love and to need and to care and to vulnerability, guess what you're going to attract? Not all the time, it's not a guarantee, but it will happen. You will get vulnerability back, you will get love back, you will get care back. And forget again, lovers. What that means is, yes, romantic, but it means if you are a person who loves, that's the definition of somebody who's a lover. Be a lover. And finally, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. And that's what I'd like to talk about at some length here. We need each other, and there is no escaping it. I must tell you, I have deep worry over how this country and this world is progressing, or rather regressing, in terms of connections from one human being to another. That will be a subject for discussion over the High Holy Days, I promise. But I'm not giving it to you now. Tonight is about the importance of human connection and making an argument for the fact that people need people. Dr. Steve Goodyear, who was here last year as our scholar, put it this way: many living things need each other to survive. If you've ever seen a Colorado aspen tree, he's from Colorado, by the way, you may have noticed that it does not grow alone. Aspens are found in clusters or groves. The reason is that the aspen sends up new shoots from the roots. In a small grove, all the trees may actually be connected by their roots. Giant California redwood trees may tower 300 feet in the sky. It would seem that they would require extremely deep roots to anchor them against strong winds. But we're told that their roots are actually quite shallow in order to capture as much surface water as possible. And they spread in all directions, intertwining with other redwoods. Locked together in this way, all the trees support each other in wind and storms. Like the aspen, they never stand alone. They need one another to survive. People, too, are connected by a system of roots. We are born to family and learn early to make friends. We're not meant to survive long without others. And like the redwood, we need to hold one another up. When pounded by the sometimes vicious storms of life, we need others to support us and sustain us. Have you been going it alone? Maybe it's time to let someone else help hold you up for a while. Or perhaps someone needs to hang on to you. We can play either role, be the person who's vulnerable or be the person who reaches out. We need each other. As Jewish people and Jewish families, we are connected by our faith, our roots extending wide and far for thousands of years. As human beings, we're connected by our DNA, and even more, our desire and need for being seen and appreciated by others, a core human instinct over millennia. A man complained of loneliness. He was advised to make 3 new friends and see what happens. He later said, I made 3 new friends and nothing happened. Now I'm stuck with these new friends. A different approach might have been to take the poem of William Blake, who wrote, I looked for my soul, but my soul I could not see. I looked for my God, but my God eluded me. I looked for a friend, and there I found all 3. Being able to see the divinity in each human being is as basic as it gets. We all know from the first chapter of the Torah that God said, I created the human being in my image. This means God resides in each and every one of us. Our job is not necessarily to be lucky to see or need people, but to understand that we have the potential to see God in everyone, if only we would look. It's easy to see the wrong or the bad in people and all the negative, but it is our duty as Jews to recognize the holiness in them too. And when we do, we are the beneficiaries of that holiness. People who need people are not lucky. They simply have opened their eyes to the beauty around them, even if it's hard or painful to do. All of us can tend our hearts towards each other to see that good in each person. Look at it this way. We need each other. There's no escaping it. That's a fact. It's a human instinct to need others. So as long as we need others, we might as well attach ourselves to the good we see in others, and we will be enriched in doing so. We are taught that if even one letter of the 100,000 letters in the Torah is faded or chipped, then the whole Torah is deemed not kosher. We need everyone to feel connected and loved and cared for to be a complete and healthy community. It has been said that a human being is like a letter of the alphabet. To produce a word, one must combine with another. We are all letters waiting for another letter to help us make sense of the world, to make sounds of joy, devotion, prayer, care, and love. It's hard to do any of these alone. What I know to my core is that we are all better when we are together as human beings, creating a vocabulary for healthy living. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.